On the still, cloudless morning of February 24, 1986, the sun climbed slowly over Van Nuys, California, warming the roofs of quiet homes in the suburban sprawl. On a tree-lined street in a modest but well-kept neighborhood, the silence of routine was broken by a call that would shake the Los Angeles Police Department to its core. Sherri Rasmussen, a 29-year-old nursing director, had been found brutally murdered in the townhouse she shared with her husband, John Rutan. The crime scene was chaotic: shattered glass, overturned furniture, and Sherri's lifeless body slumped in the living room, riddled with 3 gunshot wounds. Her face was bloodied, her front teeth broken, her skin bruised and battered. Police concluded she had fought for her life. But what they didn't realize then was that the truth behind Sherri's murder was buried beneath layers of deception, professional courtesy, and an unthinkable betrayal. It would take over 2 decades, a cold case unit, and the emergence of DNA technology to unearth the darkest secret hiding in plain sight. Sherri Rasmussen was known for her brilliance, beauty, and kindness. She was a driven and compassionate woman who, by her late 20s, had already risen to become the director of nursing at Glendale Adventist Medical Center. Her career was thriving, and her personal life seemed idyllic. She had recently married John Rutan, a handsome and successful systems engineer. But their romance, though outwardly perfect, harbored shadows Sherri never fully voiced. In the months leading up to her death, Sherri confided in her family that she felt uneasy. She had told her parents and close friends that someone was watching her, stalking her even. That someone, she believed, was Stephanie Lazarus. Stephanie was John's ex-girlfriend, a fellow UCLA alum and, at the time, a rising star in the Los Angeles Police Department. According to Sherri, Stephanie hadn't taken the breakup well. In fact, she had confronted Sherri at her office, warning her to back off from John. Sherri was disturbed by the encounter but tried to push it aside, trusting that her new marriage would be enough to keep her safe. On the morning of February 24, 1986, John left for work around 7:20 a.m. Sherri, nursing a cold, considered staying home from work. When she didn't show up, her colleagues assumed she was resting. By the time John returned home that evening, the sun had dipped low. He found the door ajar, the living room a wreck, and his wife dead. LAPD detectives, perhaps influenced by bias or familiarity, quickly formed a theory: a botched burglary. Several townhomes in the area had recently been broken into. A VCR was missing. The sliding glass door was shattered. Yet, even in the midst of what appeared to be a burglary gone wrong, certain details didn't add up. For starters, Sherri's BMW was missing but found days later, not far from the crime scene, parked neatly with no signs of damage. Fingerprints in the car led nowhere. Despite the visible signs of struggle, nothing of significant value was taken. And most importantly, there was no forced entry. No sign the intruder had broken in through the front door. Sherri's father, Nels Rasmussen, immediately suspected Stephanie Lazarus. He told detectives about the disturbing confrontations, about Stephanie's obsession with John. But his concerns were brushed aside. "She's a cop," one officer reportedly said. "She wouldn't do something like this." The case went cold. Sherri's murder faded into the backlog of unsolved crimes. The Rasmussen family grieved but never gave up pressing the department to look closer. Fast forward to the early 2000s. A cold case unit was established within the LAPD, and with it came a new wave of hope. Advances in forensic science, especially DNA testing, began reopening doors that had long been closed. In 2004, Sherri Rasmussen's case file was revisited. Detectives found a bite mark on her forearm had been swabbed and preserved. It had never been tested with modern DNA technology. They sent the swab for testing. The results showed the killer was a woman, instantly debunking the burglary gone wrong theory that had persisted for nearly 2 decades. With this new information, the cold case team quietly began looking into women connected to the victim. Stephanie Lazarus's name, once dismissed so quickly, now glared back from the pages of the old reports. She was still with the LAPD, a respected detective in the art theft detail. She had built a career, a life, and a reputation, all while hiding a deadly secret. To get her DNA, detectives devised a careful plan. They followed Stephanie to a local Costco, where she discarded a cup of soda. It was retrieved and sent for testing. The DNA matched. In June 2009, more than 23 years after Sherri's murder, Stephanie Lazarus was arrested. The trial began in 2012, and it was nothing short of explosive. Prosecutors painted a chilling portrait of obsession and rage. Stephanie had never let go of John. She had kept diaries expressing heartbreak and jealousy. Witnesses testified that she had shown up uninvited to his home, that she had still been intimate with him even after he began dating Sherri. Sherri, the court heard, was terrified of Stephanie. The prosecution argued that on the morning of February 24, 1986, Stephanie used her knowledge as a cop to approach Sherri under the guise of authority. She entered the home, likely through an unlocked door, and confronted Sherri. What followed was a brutal struggle. Sherri fought back with everything she had. But Stephanie was armed and trained. She shot Sherri 3 times and attempted to stage the scene as a burglary. The defense argued there was no clear motive, no witnesses, and that the case was circumstantial. But the DNA, the history, the violent rage, it all pointed to one person. On March 8, 2012, Stephanie Lazarus was found guilty of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to 27 years to life in prison. For Nels and Sherri Rasmussen, it was bittersweet justice. They had lost their daughter to a senseless act of jealousy, and for over 2 decades had been ignored by the very system that was supposed to protect her. In the end, Sherri had found out the truth. She had known who was watching her, who threatened her, who hated her. And it cost her everything. The tragedy of Sherri Rasmussen isn't just the brutal way she died. It's the silence that followed. The institutional blind spots. The loyalty that shielded a killer. Her story, resurrected by science and relentless love, serves as a haunting reminder. Sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones who wear the badge. If this story moved you, subscribe to Criminal Echoes for more mysteries, real cases, and the psychology behind the crimes. And don't forget to share, because someone out there might need this echo.